Okay, so yesterday we began to explore the difference between Moshe Rabbeinu and other tzaddikim, and how when the Torah says, the Torah repeats the name of various tzaddikim, the Torah says that you're supposed to pause. There's a psik. Psik is a part of the trop, part of the cantillation, where the Torah says there's a pause when the Torah repeats, for example, the name of Avram. Pause. Torah repeats the name of Yaakov, pause. The name of Shmuel, pause. But regarding Moses, there is no pause. It says the Torah repeats his name twice in one occasion. And the Ider Rabba explains the reason there's no pause is because Moshe Rabbeinu is the same in this world as he is in the higher worlds. Unlike other tzaddikim, where there is a clear difference between the way they are in the higher worlds and the way they are in this world, Moshe Rabbeinu is exactly the same here as he is there. And yesterday we spoke at length to explain the difference between the way Avram Avinu is in the world of Atzilus, the way Avram Avinu is in this world. In short, what we said was that Avram Avinu said about himself, "I am like dust and ashes." And what did he mean? It wasn't just he's using a phrase of humility. Tzaddikim in general spoke about themselves in a deprecating way. I think Hashem used to say about himself that he's like a monkey. Tzaddikim would speak at themselves in a way to with humility before Hashem. David Melch says in other places in Tehillim, I'm like a worm. But here, Avram Avinu meant something very specific when he said, "I'm like dust and ashes." He meant specifically ashes because just like when you take a tree, and the tree is beautiful and has leaves and branches, and then you burn it. So in the tree, while it's standing tall and proud, the tree has in it 4 elements. It has fire, water, wind, and earth in the tree. When you burn it, and all you have left is the ashes, the only thing that's left of those 4 elements are just the element of earth. The other 3 elements go up in the smoke. And although the ashes are the very same stuff of the tree, we can't compare them, not in quantity, not in quality. It's a whole different kind of thing. Ashes are not at all the same to tree. In a similar way, Avram Avinu, he was a vehicle for God's kindness in this world. He embodied God's kindness. But nevertheless, Avram Avinu said about himself, although indeed he does channel God's kindness in this world, and that's why his attribute, the way he served God was with love, and it's incredible love, but don't think that what he's doing, says Avram, is just a miniature form of God's infinite kindness, a miniature form of God's infinite chesed. Oh, more like a Rasman. Rather, this comparison between Avram Avinu's experience in this world to Avram Avinu's source in Atzilus is similar to the distance between the beautiful tree and the ashes. It may be made of the same stuff, but it's a whole different thing. You follow?
Yeah. I understand about the tree, just earth remains, but what we're saying, I'm missing.
Okay. Avram Avinu in Atzilus is a beautiful tree. That's his source. The divine source is like a beautiful tree. There is up in heavens. There's a beautiful revelation of God's infinite kindness in the world of Atzilus. That revelation in the world of God's kindness in the world of Atzilus does shine into Avram Avinu on earth. There's something from there that shines into Avram. From the tree, there's something that extends from that tree into Avram Avinu on earth. But the comparison of Avram Avinu to that tree is like the comparison of ashes to a tree.
So then what you're saying is up in the heavens, he's way multifaceted, more kinder. Infinitely greater in heaven. Yeah, the way Avram Avinu is in heaven, the way Avram Avinu's source is in Chesed, is exponentially greater than Avram Avinu's channeling of Hashem's Chesed in this world. To the extent that it's similar to the distance between ashes and a tree.
This is like his potential revelation, like his full capacity. It's on the level of a tree. It's massive. It grows. It produces something from nothing. It's infinite. Its ability to produce.
the analogy of the tree isn't necessarily about because the tree can cause fruit to grow. The analogy of the tree is just look at the majestic tree compared to the ashes.
But what makes the tree majestic?
It's big, it's tall, it's wide. Let's say
Like, so it's a mountain. Like, that's why I'm trying to figure out this whole thing with the tree. I don't want to miss the forest for the tree, but it's like, whoa. Okay, so the tree gets burned down. It loses all of these other attributes that make it a tree, and all you're left with
is ashes.
But the ashes are contained. The essence of the ashes are contained in the tree, even while the tree is a tree.
Right. In fact, the ashes are from the tree. The ashes are the same essence as the tree itself.
And the ashes still have substance.
The ashes are the substance of the tree. The ashes are the tree.
But there's some,
No, we're not. That was the end of the session.
Okay, so we're nail some down.
When the Alter Rebbe was on the way to being imprisoned, famously he asked the wagons to stop, and they didn't want to stop. And the Alter Rebbe, miraculously, the wagons stopped because it was Friday. He didn't want to travel on Friday afternoon, so the wagon stopped. And Michal Bliner was a mashpia in Lubavitch from the city of. He was from the city of Nel. He used to describe the spot where the Alter Rebbe stayed for Shabbos, and he said that that exact spot where the Alter Rebbe was, there was a beautiful tree that grew there. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So he would describe how where the Alter Rebbe stayed for Shabbos, although the whole area was no trees were growing there at all, but that spot where he stayed for Shabbos, there was a blessing in that spot, and there was a beautiful tree there. So the analogy, I think, is not about it's about the cosmetics. It's about just the way that we have talking about this beautiful, huge tree and there's ashes, and there's no comparison between them. So in a similar way, there's no comparison between the ashes, between Chesed and Atzilus and Avram Avinu's Chesed in this world. It's an exponentially different kind of thing. Okay. By the way, the previous Rebbe said that hearing how Michal Bliner described the tree would make your character better. I don't know if repeating how his description will make your character better would also make your character better. But either way, l'chaim. So that's what we've said in his base, and this is all an intro to tell us the greatness of Moshe Rabbeinu. You want to understand how great Moshe Rabbeinu is. In order to understand the greatness of Moshe Rabbeinu, we're comparing him to Avram. Let's go on Eis Gimel. However, concerning Moshe Rabbeinu, the Torah says that there was no interruption between, on page 57, between the first time the Torah says the word Moshe and the second time. That means the way Moses is in the world of Atzilus and the way Moses is in this world is the same. Or Moshe Rabbeinu got the Torah to Har Sinai, and he taught the Torah to all the Jewish people. And he is the one who gives the inner vitality, the divine revelation to all souls. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu there's no interruption. Elsewhere, Chassidus describes Moshe Rabbeinu as opposed to a sieve, or as opposed to other ways of transferring things. He is like a funnel. He gives us the truth of Hashem, but without any change. He is a transparent window to the divine, and he relays the divine in an unadulterated way, the same way it is in heaven. That's Moshe Rabbeinu's job. He had, as opposed to about El Navi, his mission was about changing his body, and that's why his body went with him to Shemayim. That's why El Navi's gestation period, when he was born, he was in his mother's stomach for 12 months. Yeah. Yonah was there for 12 months. When yesterday, Moshe Rabbeinu was there for 7 months. because Eliyahu Navi's role in the world was about affecting the physical. That's why his body went up to heaven with him. But Moshe Rabbeinu, on the other hand, his goal is more about revealing Hashem. He's giving us a picture of what's going on up there, showing us the truth of Hashem. And therefore, he didn't have to. He had a smaller gestation period of 7 months, more small than a regular baby. And when he passed away, his body was buried in Har Moriah, because his role in the world wasn't about changing the physical. His role was just to reveal Hashem, to give us the truth of Hashem. Yeah. What does that mean? Who is Moshe Rabbeinu? What does he give us? What don't we have that we need to get from him? And what's the difference exactly? We're all Jewish. We all have neshamas. We have souls. What's the difference in his soul and other souls? So the test in the pasuk, I have sown the house of Israel to be seed of man and seed of an animal. That means Hashem created different kinds of souls. Some souls are called man-like souls, and some souls are called animal-like souls. The difference between a human being and an animal, as a human, is that a human being has das, and an animal does not have das. The word das, we're on the next page, 58. What does the word das mean? So he's going to describe exactly what das is all about, but in another discourse, the Rebbe Rashab in Kunst Tefillah, he says that one of the reasons that you're only obligated to keep Torah mitzvahs when you turn the age of Bar Mitzvah is when you come to the age of Bar Mitzvah, you get das. What does das mean? So he says the example of King Solomon. King Solomon is the wisest of all men. And when he was 12 years old, he certainly knew a lot more than all of us will ever know. But King Solomon wasn't yet obligated to keep mitzvahs, even though he was so knowledgeable. The reason is because das is not just about knowledge. Das is about integrating that knowledge in a very real way. That when you become 13 years old, you become older and become an adult, it's not just that you can tell the difference between the fact that a tomato is a fruit and that it doesn't belong in a fruit salad, but that the ability of das means that you are able to really tell the value of things. You recognize the value of things. When Hashem says don't do this, Hashem says do this. So you know this is a mitzvah, this is an avera. It matters to you. You sense that, you feel that, you're sensitive to that. You're sensitive to the importance of what you are doing. So a zera adam, a human being, that's a bar mitzvah age human being versus a 12-year-old human being. But the difference between a animal and a human being is that an animal has zero das, and a human being has das. Not just a difference in degree. There is no, animal does not have any das at all. Let's see further. The souls of Atzilus are called Zera Adam, they're called the seed of man, and they're called children to Hashem. We say in the Rosh Hashanah davening, if we are like children, answer us like a father answers his children. If we are like servants, answer us like a master listens to his servants. So Chassidus says that there are two different kinds of souls. There are souls which are like children. They have that deep bond with Hashem, as we'll discuss in this chapter. And then there are souls which don't have that deep bond. Now, all souls originate from the world of Atzilus. All souls come from the world of Atzilus. But as they progress to this world, there's a change. And you wouldn't call that soul from Atzilus. There's some people are very zealous about where their hometown. But my hometown is best hometown, but there's nothing in them today that you could see in them as any resemblance to the way they were in their hometown. Yes, we all come from Atzilus, but we've moved. And so therefore we're not called anymore by our hometown of Atzilus. It is our hometown. We all come from there. That's the essence of the soul, is from that place. But it's been changed so much, you wouldn't call the soul anymore a soul of Atzilus. Only tzaddikim, even Avram and Yitzchak and Yaakov, which we said they do experience some change. Yitzchak, not Yitzchak, was yesterday. But even though they experience some change, they're still called souls of Atzilus. The change isn't to such a degree that there's no resemblance to their hometown. Moshe Rabbeinu is unique; there's no change at all. Aaron Avinu has some change, but most souls, they don't have any relationship to their hometown. They're not anymore called citizens of that hometown. They're not called souls of Atzilus anymore. And a commercial mouse adam sheish das saga vagasha. Kain el neshames yeshon das sagol balkus. What is the advantage of these souls? Just like a human being has das, has the ability to connect with the reality around him in a very, he feels and integrates what he sees and he understands it. So to these souls have a lot of das in godliness. What does das mean? Das is when you say these souls have das, doesn't mean that they know lots of information about Hashem. What if das means that they feel Hashem. Surgeon General warning: smoking is dangerous to your health. Does a Surgeon General smoke? You'd have no way of knowing from the cigarette card. You have no way of knowing. Just because he says it's dangerous doesn't mean he feels that it matters to him that way. So when we say that the neshama of Atzilus feels Hashem, has das, it means it feels Hashem. For sure. But you do too, to a certain extent. Look at the next words of the Maimer. It says those souls of which are called animal-like souls, they don't have so much das nelikus. They don't have so much of a connection. Most souls of our generations, not just this generation, but for many generations, are souls which come from the worlds of Bria and Yetzira and Asiya. It says about the Alter Rebbe, one second, that the Alter Rebbe was unique and that his soul came from the world of Atzilus. That was a unique thing, a soul of Atzilus. But that was a unique thing. Most souls are not from Atzilus, are not anymore attributed to Atzilus, although souls originate from Atzilus. A new soul. Good question. Yeah. The All-Star team. But you're asking a question. Out there from Atzilus, from higher than Atzilus, all neshamas are attributed to one of the four worlds. Regarding Moshe Rabbeinu, it says he was pulled from the waters, and therefore his neshamas is connected to something even beyond Atzilus, originating from before Atzilus. There is a vart by Chassidim that I don't know the source of this vart, but this Miguel I think said this vart. I'm not sure where he got it from. He said that it says about Alter Rebbe, besides being a soul from Atzilus, it also says he was a new soul. Simple meaning of a new soul is that his soul wasn't recycled. Most souls are recycled too. But he said that also means that Alter's soul was from the new era, the era of Mashiach, a soul from the future. It could be that's also a soul within Atzilus itself. Either way. But that's the highest, and on the All-Star team, the baseball cards, the highest ranking is Atzilus. They don't make cards for.
More generic definition because like even the dog,
Okay.
Heart is kind to its master, has a sense of awareness, protect the master, and so forth and so on. So,
It's a good question. Let's read through the end of the chapter and let's discuss it afterwards. Let's see what we get when we don't get. Let's go. That's what I was going to explain over here. The souls of Atzilus, they are very few. Not only they're few in our generation, but even in earlier generations with a lot of tzaddikim, there weren't so many souls that were on earth that were from Atzilus. Next, top of 59. We don't mean there aren't people that know and understand godliness. There are. There are many people that have lots of knowledge of the greatness of Hashem. They read it in books, they get it from their teachers. They understand very deeply how Hashem animates and creates the world and all creations. They get that. Further, not only do they understand and appreciate deeply how Hashem animates the world every second, they also understand how Hashem is really beyond creation. And they understand and they appreciate how no mind can grasp the greatness of Hashem. It's not just a statement. Anyone could say no one can get the greatness of Hashem, but it's an appreciation. They appreciate this truth in a way that they sense how Hashem is infinite. They sense that. Yesterday, the tzaddik who said the Kotzker Rebbe. He said that a God that we could all understand is not a God that I would want to serve. To sense how Hashem's greatness is beyond our understanding. However, since they don't feel this in an internal way, it's not called a man-like soul, it's called an animal-like soul. How so? An animal also has spiritual abilities. An animal can see, an animal can hear. Those are God imbued the animal not just with a body, but with the ability to see and hear. Those are spiritual energies. Spiritual doesn't mean holy. Spiritual means that they're not physical. They're not something which is part of the five senses, meaning there's something in the animal which you can't see. There's a power there you can't see. It's a spiritual energy, the ability to see, the ability to hear. So despite the fact that the animal can see and hear, it doesn't understand what it sees, doesn't understand what it hears. Because it doesn't have so much das. So it has some das, Dr. Bressman, doesn't have so much das, and therefore doesn't get what it sees or hears. So too, these souls, which are called animal-like souls, they don't have so much das in Elokus. Top of 60. Das means feeling it. When the idea you have in your mind is set in your soul as if you actually feel it. So it's not just they know about Hashem, the neshamas of Atzilus, they feel Hashem. What does das mean? Here's a definition of das, a working definition. Das means connection, that you connect to it. Not just you know it, but you connect to it. Now, next to the part of the chapter, we're going to discuss what it means to connect to Hashem. We're not talking about understanding Hashem because we can't understand Hashem, but it's still possible, although we can't understand Him, it's possible to connect and to feel Hashem. So even these souls, which we're saying that they are from Atzilus, we're not saying that they understand Hashem, but they do feel Hashem. And other souls, which are called animal-like souls, don't feel Hashem as much. He's not saying that this is the way it has to stay. It's just the natural way that you're born.
The Kipper Shabbos in general, isn't Das uniting your intellect with your emotion? You sit all day, the way sits. So what are you going to do the next summer? You're going to go down. I'm going to go home. So what am I going to do when I'm home? Am I going to sit and take them to Hill while my tickets ready, or am I going to sit and look at my stock market and think about it?
Hopefully I'll shop it. You guys get ready.
But the point being is you learn it. It's like, okay, godliness ain't no plaza. Okay, but then you can go off and like lose that
sensitivity, right? He's going to discuss that. The reason why that's possible, you just said, is because we don't have that. Since we don't have that, that's why it's possible to immediately forget it. Immediately. Why is it possible? One of my children, when they crying because one of them was crying because she wanted something, and then she realized that she had it. So then it wasn't like she so slowly stopped crying. It was like automatic. So that's how quickly we could forget the Hashem's truth, because it's not we don't feel it. We understand that, but since we don't feel it, therefore it's something which could instantaneously be removed from our mind. So the animal sees, the animal hears. Those are spiritual energies, and yet the animal doesn't know what it sees or hears. And so in a similar way, we may know about Hashem, we may understand about Hashem, but we don't really realize what we're learning. That's what I was saying. We don't really realize what that really means. The author once gave an analogy of walking around naked. Imagine you discover once you're walking around naked, you're very embarrassed. The Mashiach will come, we'll realize you're walking around naked. Why? Because the Eibish's truth is truth. It's real. But we just learn, it's another concept, another idea. but there's something going on that we don't because our natural orientation is to feel the physical. We don't feel the spiritual in a vivid way like tzaddikim. like the souls of the seed of men. Let's see further. Page 60 in the middle of the page. What does it mean to connect to Hashem? It says in a pasuk, my flesh, I perceive Hashem. It says I will perceive as if I literally see Hashem. And although it's impossible, even for a tzaddik, it seems, to see Hashem with his physical eye, okay, I shouldn't say that, because even when Mashiach comes, it says we'll perceive Hashem with a physical eye. But currently, it's impossible to see Hashem with a physical eye. However, you can know for sure that, for example, you can know for sure you have a soul in you. It's possible to know and feel that you have a soul that animates you. You can know that. You see it. The soul, even though the soul too is not something you could see it, and you don't know exactly what it is, but you could still feel, I have a soul, I'm alive. You could still feel your soul by seeing that there's energy in your body. Where is that energy coming from? That energy is coming from your soul. So you could see that you have a soul, not what that soul is. Top of 61. When the soul departs from the body, what happens to the body? The body remains like an inanimate stone. And even while you're alive, the kind of vitality you have is different in different times. For example, when the soul departs from the body at night, when a person goes to sleep and goes to give Hashem an account of the day, the soul goes up to Hashem. At that time, the body's still alive, but there's only a very little bit of energy that's left in the body. At that time, you don't have all your faculties in running in the same way that, like, when you are awake. For example, your intelligence, your sight, your hearing is different when you're asleep than when you're awake. And that's why it's possible in a dream to connect two things which are very different from each other. While you're asleep, it all makes sense to you. That's because your mind, your intelligence, the light of your seichel, the light of your intelligence, is not shining in you, and therefore you can't tell why these two opposite things can't go together. When you wake up, you're surprised at yourself. How could you possibly think these two things go together? But while you're asleep, you don't think that way because the seichel, the intelligence, isn't shining in you at that time. Top of 62. This is because when you wake up, your soul's energy returns and animates your various soul powers, your intellect, your emotions, your sight, your hearing. So that's the difference between being awake and being asleep. And the point of what I was saying is that you could feel you have a soul. And you could feel the impact of when your soul is more revealed and when your soul is not less revealed. You feel there's a difference when you're awake, when your soul is revealed and your soul is present, versus when your soul departs from your body. Most of your soul departs from your body when you go to sleep. You feel different. When a person passes away, you could tell that there is no animating force in the body. So this is all an analogy for us to say that the same is about Hashem. Just like our soul, we know for sure we have a soul. We feel this fluctuation of the soul's energy every day, and we know for sure we have it, although we don't know what it is. So too with Hashem, we are able to have a vivid perception that Hashem animates us and creates us every moment, even though we don't know what Hashem is. You know what the soul is either. We still know you for sure you have a soul. So too with Hashem, you can know and you should know that Hashem's truth is real. The souls of Atzilus, they don't just know this, they feel it. This is exactly, literally, your perception of your soul is what souls feel, what the souls of Atzilus feel about Hashem. As well as you know your soul, that you have a soul, that's how well they know that there's Hashem. As the pasuk says, I perceive Hashem from my flesh, my own body. I can tell about Hashem from the way my soul animates my body. Even though no thought can grasp Hashem at all, that only means that you can't understand God's essence. But you could feel God's existence. You don't know what Hashem is, but the fact that He is, that you could know and that you could feel. You could see that the world is like a big body, and the world exists, and the world is animated. Where is that energy from? How is there energy in the world? Just like there's energy in you from your soul. Why is it? Why are the plants growing? Why are there birds chirping? Where is that all? Where's all the movement? Where's all the energy coming from? It's from the infinite light of Hashem, who's constantly pouring energy into every creature at every moment. This is something that everyone can understand. This is something we could all know, but when you connect with it and you feel it as if you see it, that's das. Das is not just that you know it, das is that you feel it as if you see it with your eyes. And that's what the Gemara means when it says, who is wise? Someone who could see the outcome. We'll discuss a little later in the Maimer what this means, but just on the surface, everyone could know the outcome of their deeds. I know it's now 7:03, and if I don't start Karbonis, I'm going to be late to 7:15 to start Shachris. I know that, but I could already feel the anxiety now, if I wanted to, of that. A wise person sees the outcome. He just doesn't just know it; he feels right now the future right now. But there's another translation of those words. Who is wise? He who can see the birth. What's being born? God is constantly bringing the world into existence and animating every moment. So the souls of the seed of animal soul, like souls, they can know it. The human-like souls, they don't just know it; they feel it as if they see it. It's true. Yes.
Die. The soul doesn't die. The soul is right?
We're not done. Mashiach is coming. Right, get ready. Yes, absolutely. The soul goes on.
So, people who've died, I'll say, are already passed away, and their soul departs, goes to heaven. Are they aware of
What happened here?
what's going on here?
The Gemara discusses it. The Gemara discusses that there is they do know, and they daven for us.
Are we going to talk about
Not right now, but in many texts you still owe me. Send me with that text too. All right. Shkoyach, everyone.
Thanks.